Hi everyone. So welcome to the live stream today. Really sorry that you know I'm jumping on today a little bit late. Uh Almost, about 28 close to 30 minutes late for the stream today. Over 30 minutes late for the stream. Uh Had to do a couple of things and didn't finish on time, so that's why I'm coming in a little bit late today. Let me know any questions for me, please, as we get excited with our discussion today. I'm going to do a Q&A for you guys today because of the timing constraint issue. I'm going to do a Q&A for you guys today. So even though originally I wanted to do a cash flow question, because of timing issue, when I take the question, we are not able to even finish. So I'm going to not look at the question. I'm going to do a Q&A with you, provide you with some strategies on how you can do your revision in the next 4 weeks as we continue with our discussion for the examination. So give me a thumbs up on the video. Let me know in the comment section any questions you have for me, something you would want me to share my thoughts on. G Clark said, "Hi, sir. Are we still having this class?" Yep. Sorry, I was late. Roche said, "I am also wondering." Same here. Hello, Nhyira. Hi. So I'm here now. I'm here. So give us a thumbs up on the video, comment in the chat box any questions you have for me, something you would want me to share my thought on. I will really be excited to provide you with some strategies as we prepare ourselves for the examination. Let's see. I'm going to bring my screen up in a moment. Let's see if I can do that. Goodness. Okay. Let's see if I can do that. Okay, so like I said, I'm going to do a short Q&A with you guys because of timing constraints. So if there are any questions specifically that you want me to share my thought on, or something that you have challenge with that you are seeking clarity on, put it in the comment section for me, put it in the chat. I'm really sorry I'm not able to join the stream earlier today as scheduled. Like I mentioned, had a couple of issues here that we needed to look out for with our team as we prepare ourselves in the next 4 weeks for the examination. So all was uh, important for me as well as we go into that. So any questions for me? If you have any questions, put in the chat for me as we go into our discussion today. I'm going to try to answer some questions you are having and also provide you with some key revision strategies and techniques as we prepare ourselves for the examination. So let me know if there are any questions for me today and let me handle them. I'm seeing a chat coming in from Benjamin saying that, hi, hello, Benjamin. I hope you're doing well. Thanks for joining us on the stream today. And then I'm seeing Sharifa Bempoma also saying that, hi, Inshi, welcome. Thank you, Sharifa. Um, Please touch on government grant. What exactly on government grant would you want me to share my thought on, Sharifa? What exactly on government grant? Let's see if I can bring in my slide in the stream. I don't know if it is ready. Yeah, my slide is ready on the stream. So when it comes to the issue about government grants, that is IAS 20, it is a form of assistance that IAS 20, government grant, it describes the way entities are required to account for grants that they received from governments generally. Now, broadly, the government's grants can be financial assistance or non-financial assistance that we receive from the government. Okay, financial assistance and then non-financial assistance. So depending on what we are receiving and the way it is supposed to be accounted for. Now, usually when the entity receives non-financial assistance, the rule is that if the fair value can be determined, then it will be recognized in the books of the entity. Okay. So where The fair value can be determined where the fair value can be determined. It is recognized in the financial statement. In the financial statement. Like for instance, maybe the government gives out an asset to the company, okay, a property, plant, and equipment to the company. So maybe the government gives an equipment to the company. Now, the fair value of the equipment can be determined. So it will be recognized as part of the property, plant, and equipment of the company, or maybe a land that government gives to the entity. So if the fair value can be determined, we recognize it in the financial statement. But then if the fair value cannot be determined, then we disclose it in the footnote. Okay, so where the above is not possible, so I just want to make it simpler here. So where the above is not possible, if we cannot determine the fair value, you know, a disclosure is required in the financial statement. A disclosure is required in the financial statement. Sounds good? So that is the first thing we must understand about government grants, that we could have non-financial assistance coming in there. For the financial assistance, there are two types of them. We have what we call asset-related government grants, and then non-asset related government grants. Now, the non-asset related are more or less like reimbursement that government gives for expenses that the entity undertakes or incurs. Okay, reimbursement for expenses. In such cases, what happens is that it could be used to reduce the expenses for which we receive government grants. So let's say we spend money on training and development of our employees. Okay, so we spend money on training and development. Okay, on staff. Let's say we spend $10,000. Then government comes and say, "Oh, I'm giving you." So that is the expenses we incur. Governments come and say, "I'm giving you a grant of 3,000 in respect of that training and development." What does that mean? It means now if you go to your statement of financial position, technically the net figure that will go there and under training and development will be 7,000. Okay, so you could just use the grants received to reduce the expenses that is going to be recognized in the P&L accounts. Does that make sense? For asset related grants, which is I think something we're going to be doing today in our main financial reporting class, we are on government grant IAS 20. We've discussed a lot of standards already, but we are now on that. Asset related grants, there are two ways that they can be treated. Either they could be treated as a deferred income, which is the default method, you know, or can be treated as a reduction to the asset. Okay. The journal entry simply is that if it is a default income, you will debit your cash or bank or receivables if you have not received a grant yet. Then you credit deferred income. Then you will amortize over the economic useful life of the asset. That is the way the deferred income works. But the reduction to asset is where, yes, you will debit cash or debit receivables, but what you will do is that you will credit the PPE instead. So you use the grant received to reduce the initial cost of the asset. You use the grant received to reduce the initial cost of the asset. So technically, that is what we need to understand when it comes to dealing with government grants in that case. Let me know if that is okay for you. So that was a question coming in from how do we call it? I think from Sharifa bin Palmer. So basically, that is what government grant is about. What else do I have? Ishira, anything you say is added value. Okay, Sharengi, I hear you. I'm going to share some thought a little bit. Clark said, how do we calculate carrying amount after applying impairment losses? I don't understand the question, Clark. How do we calculate carrying amount after applying impairment losses? I don't understand, Clark. Maybe provide me with some specific things. I don't get a context of the question because um if the asset suffers an impairment, that means the asset will now be carried at the recoverable amount. Okay, because an asset is impaired when the recoverable amount is lower than the carrying amount. So it means the asset is now suffering impairment. So the asset will now be carried at the recoverable amount on the face of the statement of financial position. And then from that day, we now depreciate the asset if it's a depreciable asset using the carrying amount, using the recoverable amount at which we are now carrying the asset. Let me know if uh, that is what you were asking about. Let me know if. Then what else do I have? Mohammed said, "Are we reading borrowing costs today? IAS 20." No, I've just spoken about IAS 20 government's grant. Next one, I hope we can touch on cash flow accounting for contracts. No, timing constraints will not allow me today. I had a question that I wanted us to solve on cash flow today, but unfortunately, we cannot do that because I joined the stream late today, so I wouldn't be able to touch on that, unfortunately, for the discussion. So we'll look at that possibly on Monday. We can't hear you say, why? Is my sound not up? Is my sound not up? I think my sound should be up. MK Found said, we can't hear you, sir. Is my sound not up? Let me know. I think my sound is up here. I think my sound is up here. I don't know. Let me know if you're having problems. Probably you are having problem. Under IAS 36, how do we handle impairment if the recoverable amount is greater than the carrying amount? Simple. The asset has not suffered an impairment and the asset is continued to be carried at the carrying amount. Does that make sense? So if the recoverable amount is greater than the carrying amount, there is no impairment. We continue to carry the asset at its carrying amount. That's all. So G Clark, that's the answer to your question. There will be no impairment if recoverable amount exceeds carrying amount. Okay. Rose said, please touch on how to calculate the carrying amount for intangible asset with indefinite life. Okay, with intangible asset with indefinite life, we don't amortize them. All we do is to test for impairment. Okay, we don't amortize. All we do is to test for impairment. So we test for impairment of intangible asset with indefinite economic useful life. So issues like goodwill, it's an intangible asset with indefinite economic useful life. So you cannot amortize it. You cannot do anything about it. Issues like sometimes patent, it could be an indefinite useful life. Okay, it could be brand, or if you want a trademark, brand or trademark is an asset with intangible, sorry, indefinite economic useful life. So these kind of assets, we don't depreciate, sorry, we don't amortize. All we do is to test for impairment every year, and if they suffer impairment, we'll just write it off in the P&L account by debiting the profit or loss account with any reduction in the value of these intangible assets, and then you will credit the respective intangible assets to get the carrying amount. Rose, let me know if that is clear to you. So intangible asset with indefinite economic useful life, we test for impairment. And if they suffer impairment, that impairment is debited to P&L and credited to the intangible asset. So we don't amortize them. We still carry them at that initial cost until they suffer an impairment. Then we can reduce them. Then we can reduce the figure. So let me know if that is okay for you. Okay, I can hear it's okay now. All right. How we record government grants for next year? I don't understand the question. How we record government grants for next year? What do you mean? Hmm? What do you mean? What do you mean by recording government grants for next year? I don't understand the context of your question. So maybe give me some context, then I can provide you with some better understanding there. What was the name? Jean Diamant. I don't know. Is that a French name or something like that? Jeez. Roche said, very clear. Thank you, sir. Okay. Always a pleasure. Any other questions for me, please? Any other questions for me? I think, unfortunately, our YouTube broadcast expired. So, from the destination. So, we cannot connect on YouTube, on Facebook, unfortunately. So, we're going to go. Any other questions for me, please? Put it in the chat. And let's see. Destinations, reconnect. Okay, so 4 weeks to go. What are we going to do in the next 4 weeks as we, try to look at our revision and see exactly what we can do in that particular case? I'm seeing a chat coming in. Let's see if I can. Maybe he mean government grants on subsequent measurement. Maybe he can give us some context, then I can mention it. Because I spoke about the subsequent measurement, there are two ways the grants can be treated. If you recognize it as a deferred income, you have to amortize it over the economic useful life of the asset. Now, if you recognize it as a reduction to the assets, then you just charge depreciation every year, and then you go away in that regard. Maxwell Nyaba said, how different is cash flow from IAS 7 and IPSAS cash flow? Two different things. As you know, one is in the public sector, one is in the private sector. That alone is a difference. So that alone is a difference there in that particular case. So that is the issue in that regard. So the difference is that in IAS 7, you are going to be preparing the cash flow statement using your indirect method. And so you're going to start with profit before tax, make various adjustments. But in public sector, the cash flow statement in public sector, IPSAS 2, I think so, it should be IPSAS 2. The way we prepare the cash flow there is to look at the receipt and payment account for the covered entity or the government entity in that particular case, and then you do the various adjustments. So even though we had the same pattern of treatment, we don't deal with depreciation. It has to be adjusted for and all that. The context will be done well in the private sector as in the public sector. I don't know if we have covered IPSAS 2 on the channel. If it's not available on the channel, then sorry about that. But there is a difference between how they are treated. Very, very vast difference. One is in the public sector to start with, the other is private sector. So you expect that there will be difference in terms of the way items are going to be looked at. I noticed that you ignore my comments. Actually, I am not too much gripped on all standard, but I ask questions to cover my doubts. What is the comment you? I don't think I saw any comments. Who is that? Let's see. That's Mohammed. I think this is the only comment I had, that where there will be no impairment. What's the question? Uh, you asked here, are we reading borrowing costs, or no, we are not reading anything. I think I answered that. And then there will be no impairment if recoverable amount exceeds carrying amount. Okay, so what was the comment? I don't think I've seen any comment of yours that I haven't responded to, because I read all the comments and respond. So I've not seen any of your comments. If anything, you can copy and paste it again. I'll see. But in my chat here, I can't see any of your comments. I mean, grants recorded as current liability and other for non-current liability in the statement of financial position. Yes, that is if the issue relating to how do we call it? If you treat the grant as a deferred income, so let me pull up my slide coming up. If you treat the grant as a deferred income, okay, then what is going to be happening is that it has to be splitted between current and non-current in on the face of the statement of financial position. The amount that is treated as current is the annual grant chargeable. Okay, so the current liability will be the annual amount chargeable, and the non-current liability will be the balancing figure. I hope you are getting it. Will be the balancing figure in that particular case. So that is how the idea is treated in that regard. So the amount that is recognized as current liability is always the annual charge. Then the balancing figure from the carrying amount of the deferred grant is going to be the non-current liability. So let me know, Jean Diamant, if that was what you were asking about and if that is clear for you. Joe Matho said, can we start with profit before interest using the indirect method so that we can ignore interest charges while doing the adjustments? Profit before interest using the indirect method so that we can ignore uh the yeah, you can start with that if that is what you are comfortable with. You can start with that if you want to. That is also going to be correct in that case. That's also going to be correct. So yeah, you can start with profit before interest and tax and then work your way up. Then you will not bring in uh, the interest that has been charged for the year in that case. But the reason why we deal with the profit before tax is the issue about the fact that we would have to do the adjustment for the finance costs, because sometimes there are various issues that are in some questions there are some various issues that will be included in the finance cost adjustments, which would have to be taken into consideration for maximization of marks purposes in the actual examination. However, if you start with profit before interest, you are good. You will be good as well in arriving at your answers. So, any other questions you put in the chat for me, I'm going to be answering it for you in that case. I'm bringing it. William Nya said, thanks so much for this opportunity. You are a blessing to the accounting profession. Always a pleasure, William, and thanks for joining us on the stream. So, 4 weeks down to go. We are in July. So, we have 4 weeks to go for the examination. I believe you have registered for the exams, and if you have registered for the exams, literally, it means now you are committed and you have to write the exams. And like I say always, it's not just about writing the exams, but most importantly, passing the exams. And so, how do you get that done? Now, we've discussed a couple of issues relating to the how to's, but I'm going to just share some thoughts with you on how you need to strategize yourself going into the next 4 weeks. The first thing I want you to do is to go back, and if you have not had a study plan, prepare a study plan for the next 4 weeks. Now, in case you don't know how the heck to prepare a study plan or what the heck a study plan is, you can check our how-to channel, and there is a study plan there. For those of you who are studying directly under my mentorship, the video for the study plan or the link for the study plan is available on our WhatsApp platform. You can request for it and it will be sent to you. So you need to have a study plan for the next 4 weeks. Now, what is the purpose of the study plan? The study plan is to enable you to break down the topics relating to all the subjects that you are studying, and then knowing what to study and when to study what at the end of the day generally. That is the purpose of the study plan. So you need to have a study plan down to arrange. So let's say you are writing 2 papers, okay? Let's say you are doing financial reporting and then public sector accounting and finance. So I'm going to bring my screen up and provide you with some blueprints on the next 4 weeks, what the heck we're going to be doing. So let's say I have 4 weeks on my time, which is what we have now. and we need to prepare a study plan. Now, remember, you may not be able to study every day. So we have to be realistic on the days that you're going to study. So let's say I'm going to study 3 times in a week on my own. Now, when I say study plan, I mean the time you set aside to study on your own. This excludes the lecture you are attending. Because some of you, when we say study plan, you come and include the study. No, no, no. What you learn is not part of what you learn under the at lectures is not part of your study plan. So let's say I have maybe my Saturday, Sunday is free. I mean, I'm not going to attend any wedding. I'm not going to attend any funeral or whatever the heck. So let's say I have 4 days in a week. So let's say maybe I have Tuesday. Okay, let's say I have Tuesday, and I have Thursday. Okay, this is just an example. Okay, then I have Saturday and I have Sunday. So these are the 4 days that I have in the week. So let's say I'm doing 2 subjects. I'm doing financial reporting and I'm doing public sector accounting and finance. So I have 4 days in a week. Once I establish the dates, I need to ask myself, what is my peak time? Okay, now peak time is very, very important because you don't want to pick a book and waste your time behind a book. That's very, very important. You don't want to pick the book and waste your time behind the book, because I've had people talk to me. I've been doing this for close to 10 years now, since 2013. So I've seen all. I mean, if you do something continuously for a decade, I mean, you've seen a lot of BS going on in that particular case. So I've had people telling me, Nhyira, I picked the book, I've studied, I read, I don't understand, it can't stick. Relax, relax. So let's take care of a couple of things. What is your peak time? What is your peak time? Now, your peak time is the time at which you are productive. Your peak time is the time at which you are not distracted emotionally, psychologically, environmentally. All right? That's your peak time. Your peak time is where you are of your best. So you are productive, you are not distracted, and you are of your best. Most importantly, your peak time is also the time where you put your phone on focus mode, or you switched it off, or you put it in flight mode, or you put it in silence and throw it under your bed. When you finish with the class, then you go look for it. That's your peak time. Are you getting it? So once I know, okay, I can have 4 days in a week that I'm going to study, then I need to ask myself, when is my peak time? When is it that I can study and give my best or get the best results at the end of the day? So it depends. It depends. I cannot suggest to you the time that you're going to study, because I'm more or less like a wolf. I do well in the night, uh, basically. But then during the days also, I know how to put myself on the spot and study if I have to study. Do you understand it? So it depends. Find your peak time. Especially, like I've shared this over and over again. Um, there are there are moments in your life that you are not going to be really productive. So you need to spot those moments so that you can stay productive irrespective of what is happening generally. Okay. For instance, let's say you are a lady, you're going to go through your menstrual cycle. Now, every lady goes through 4 phases every month. So at each of the 4 phases, there are various hormones that are released at each of the 4 phases. Okay. Now, each of these 4 phases and the hormones that are released affect your productivity, affect your understanding, affect how excited you are and mood that you are in. So if you're a lady, I have a couple of ladies on the stream definitely, then you have to spot that out and find out, okay, it's not that something is wrong with you. It's not that you are sick. No, it's just the normal phases you go through. All right. So from menstruation due to ovulation and all of those stages, there are different hormones that are being released. So you need to find out, at what point do you really become excited? Are you really active? Are you really productive? Then those periods you can optimize on them and schedule a lot of your personal study time during those times. I hope you're getting the idea. Now, for my guys, the same way. Do you understand it? For my guys, the same way. Only that, we don't go through menstruation, ovulation, and all that thing. But We also have our emotional, psychology states that we go through. All I'm saying is that know yourself emotionally, because you see, emotion state of mind affects your effectiveness when you are studying. That is why I am really of that. So it's not about, yeah, I've picked the book. Yo, give me the book, give me the book, give me the book. Then you pick the book, put it down, then you are seriously, see, you are lying. You are not doing anything. You're not doing anything. It won't stick. It won't stick. Okay. So don't bother yourself. So know your peak time, know when you are really, really productive. In the next 4 weeks, that's what you want to do. So, how many days can you study in the week on your own? Two, what are your peak time? When can you shine well? When can you not be distracted? You can't pick the book and be thinking about your girlfriend who left you. You can't pick the book and be thinking about your boyfriend who didn't answer your call when you called. You can't pick the book and you're thinking about your light bill, your water bill. What the heck is that? You can't pick the book and you're thinking about the food to eat or your rent. Come on, man. You're not learning. You're doing emotional exercise. So you need to, I know some of these things, it takes exercise and it has to be a lot of discipline, because whether I like it or not, some emotional distractions will be thrown at you. Okay, sometimes it can be called fiery darts. So it can be thrown at you in that case, but you have to train your brain in such a way that you will be able to get rid of it as and when it comes. As and when it comes. So know the number of days you can study in a week on your own, exclusive of your lecture if you're attending lectures. Number two, have a peak time that you're going to study, the time that you're going to be off your best in that particular case. And then number three, arrange the topics in the manner that they are supposed to be studied. So if I know my peak time, let's say my peak time, whatever, let's say my peak time could be, because I work and I'm going to do a lot of things. So let's say my peak time could be maybe whatever, let's say 2 a.m. to maybe 5 a.m. Let's say that is my peak time. Okay, because I work and I go to work and I don't close from work early and all that. So let's say this is my peak time. This is the time I can be really productive. So what do I do? FR. There are 5 divisions for the FR. So the accounting standards, the IFRSs. We have ethics that I need to pay attention to. We have ratios that I need to pay attention to. We have consolidated financial statement that I need to pay attention to. And then we have an issue relating to, um, the single entity, which is the same as the FR, though IFRS standards, single entity, and some conceptual framework issues. So these are the 5 key issues in FR. So then I arrange on the days based on what I want to cover. If it is ethics, if it is ratios, if it is consolidation, if it is standard, what kind of standards do I want to cover? Specifically, write it down. So on Tuesday in the dawn, I want to study maybe non-current asset standards. Don't do big things. Start small. Okay, maybe you want to look at IAS 16, IAS 37. Maybe these two during the 3 hours solve enough questions about these two standards. Good. PSAF, what are the key issues there? Definitely PIFA. That's crucial. I need to cover PIFA. Okay, preparation of financial statements. That's critical. Ratios or interpretation of financial statement. That is critical. Issues relating to revenue management and expenditure control. That's critical. Issues relating to public-private partnership arrangement. Issues relating to public procurement. Issues relating to budgeting. And then some introductory issues relating to conceptual framework for general purpose financial statements. So these are the key issues also in public sector. On a specific day at specific times, you want to put these topics there so that when you take your study plan, oh, it's Saturday done. Okay, Saturday done. What I have there is public-private partnership arrangement. So when you pick the book, it's not that you have put there public sector accounting so that you don't know what to learn in public sector accounting. No, you put the topics there, not the subject. Are you getting it? So on Saturday in the first week, I'm going to be reading public-private partnership. I'm going to be answering questions on them. I'm going to be answering questions on them. And it is very, very important. So you break it down like this on your study plan. On your study plan. Don't write the subjects there. Oh, today I have FR. When you pick the book, which topic in FR will you study? When you pick the book, sometimes you say, oh, Nhyira, I picked the book, but I don't know what to study. You don't prepare study plan by putting topic subjects there. You put topics there. So once you put the topics there and the time reaches, you pick it up and then you go away. I hope you are getting the idea. So you need to have a 4-week study plan. Have the number of days you can study on your own. Select your peak time and then prepare the study plan by putting those specific topics in those days. In those days. Then finally, it's going to be discipline. You know, it's one thing to have a vision board, it's one thing to have a beautiful timetable. It's another thing to a study plan, it's another thing to actually follow it. So you need some discipline. Okay. If, for instance, my peak hours is 2 to 5, that means when I get home in the evening, I can't do anything. I cannot be bench watching anything on Netflix or Apple TV, even though I can have nice movies to watch. No movies any longer. Maybe I have to talk to, I'm talking in general, so maybe I have to talk to my wife, or I have to talk to, if you're a lady, you have to talk to your husband or your girlfriend or boyfriend. Got to limit that. Okay, because 2 a.m. no, you have to get up. So it means when you get home, you freshen up, boom, you go to sleep. Get home, freshen up, boom, you go to sleep, so that I can wake up at 2 a.m. and study. So discipline in the next 4 weeks will be a golden thing. Now, I know some of you say, oh, Nhyira, you see, me, when it is 3 days to the exam, that is where I become active. Oh, please stop smoking nonsense. You will go and fail the exams. That's arrant nonsense. Don't do it. Don't do it. Oh, my friend BN, when he was learning public sector, he said that he didn't do anything. Just, the day to the exam, he just picked a book, then he was flipping. He went to the exam hall, then he passed the exams. Hey, are you your friend? Your destiny is different. What is on your head is different. The people who are following you is different. Your path is different. So don't just sit down and say, oh, then since my friend told me that, me too, I will do that. Then the day before the paper, you pick your PSA book or you pick some textbook from somewhere, then you are reading. Please, you have emotional breakdown in the exam hall. And you will fail the exams on top of it. And you will be miserable because you will feel miserable. And if care is not taken, you will give up. Because over the last 10 years, I've seen people, they do the ICA, they write the exam 1 or 2, they fail, then they stop. That doesn't make them bad. That doesn't make them weak. That doesn't make them stupid or anything like that. It's just who they are. They don't have the grades for this. Becoming a chartered accountant is not a playground. You have to discipline yourself. But if you don't, I don't know. So please don't sit down 3 days, 2 days to the exam and start being serious. You have 4 weeks. Take my words, as much as you can, as much as you can trust, prepare a steady plan. Identify your peak time and optimize on it. That's the deal. That's how you build this thing up. I tell my students always, on the day of the exams, you want to flex, you want to chill. Okay, on the day that the exam is, like, you want to flex and chill. The day that you are writing the exams, you want to get up, very refreshed, eat great. I mean, one of the best breakfasts you can get. Take a cab, let you be chauffeured to the exam hall. Not that you jump from one trotro to another trotro. Hey. No. You are chauffeured to the exam hall. You get there, there is no tension on you, and you're just relaxing and, flipping through, doing some final things. No pressure. You feel me? No pressure. You've slept well. You've had a great breakfast. You were chauffeured to your exam hall. Like, you relax. That alone, that alone is the key for you to become successful. But 99.999999 of you, the day of the exams, a lot of pressure. A lot of pressure. And that is what you want to avoid, because if you are pressured, you will suffer. You will suffer. So that is what I would say there. And that is how you have to structure yourself up in the next 4 weeks to pass the exam. Ultimately, all I'm saying is that you got to discipline yourself. If you need to sacrifice something in the next 4 weeks. Some of you probably you have to stop attending some weddings. You have to stop attending some funerals. You have to stop attending some whatever the heck, and focus on your dream a little bit. Hmm? You please everybody, but your dream is cascading. Your dream is being destroyed. Focus on your dream a little bit. Nobody, whatever. Okay, if you don't come to my wedding, me too, I won't come to your wedding. And so what? No, no, no. And so what? If you don't come to my wedding, so what? The world has ended. So what? Do you see rich people, successful people having events or wedding and begging people to attend? No, you come by invitation. So all those poverty bullshit lifestyle of if you don't come to my wedding, me too, I don't come to your wedding, it's foolishness. Build your life. Sacrifice. I'm not saying don't have a social life. No, that's not what I'm saying. But I'm saying that if you want to become successful, you cannot be in the social, you cannot be gallivanting around on Saturday, Sunday, attending all manner of events, using all your money to buy dresses and shoes and wigs and weave on and watches and other things, and not build a life. You gotta build your life, because your icons, the Mark Zuckerbergs, the Warren Buffett, the Elon Musk, the Bill Gates, the Oprah Winfrey's, the Steve Harvey's, the Grant Cardone, the Dan Locks, the Gary V's, like your icon, they sacrificed. They sacrificed. So that is all I will say to you today. You got to discipline yourself. When do you want to be a chartered accountant? As soon as possible? Or you want to take 10 years to do this thing? When do you want to be a chartered accountant? Now or when you turn 72? So that the world will praise you. Oh, he is 72 and he is now a chartered accountant. Bullshit. Discipline yourself. Do it now whilst you can. And you can become successful as fast as possible. That's the secret. That's the secret. The issue is how fast can you do it? That's the issue. And as fast as possible, that's better. It helps you to swag a lot. It helps you to become successful as quick as possible. It helps you to attain financial independence as soon as possible, because you discipline yourself and you focus and you use some few years to become successful. Then the rest of the years, you can chill. So that is my recommendation to you. Like I said, I'm not saying don't have a social life. I cannot advise you how to live your life. All I'm saying is, if you want to build this thing, you want to become successful as soon as possible, you need to give up something. And that may include some of the social lives. Lastly, your phone. It is your friend. Don't make it your enemy. Some of you spend time on social media, on WhatsApp. You watch the status of all your contacts. What are you doing with it? Then you're laughing. Oh, oh, foolishness. You have to channel that time to study. Don't pick a phone and be on social media. No, 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 bro. Gotta make money. Look at the economy. The only way you can survive in this economy is to double your hustles, bro. That's the way out. So that is what I think you have to do in the next 4 weeks so that you can become successful as soon as possible. It is not when you make it, it is how fast you make it. That's the currency now. It's how fast you make it. And the only way you can make it as fast as possible, as soon as possible, is giving up something. And that is why the rich will always be richer and the poor will always be poorer. And that's why only a handful of people are successful, because these are the only people who are willing to discipline and not give a damn about what people say. So that's it about that. Let me know any questions for me, and let's wrap up for the evening. I'm going for my class, and that my students are already screaming, I guess, for their Zoom ID. Rose said, "Thank you, Nhyira. I have just been bundling everything and getting too confused and too tight to keep up." Okay, so now you know you have to unbundle so that you can be good there. Dora Chisali. Chisali. Wow, that's a nice name. Very true lecture. Okay. Very true. Good advice. Thank you, Dora. Dora is my mommy's name. That's nice. I'm preparing for my mid-semester exams. I'm coping. I'm copying. All right, that's fine. Wishing you all the best, Dora, in your mid-sem examination as you study. Okay, so that's it about that. And that's it about it. Like I mentioned, unfortunately, I wasn't able to join the stream early today. So we're going to be looking at the discussion for the cash flow question possibly on Monday, so that we can wrap up on cash flow. Then from next week, I can touch on some other issues there. So remember, you can download our mobile application, the Nhyira Premium application, and get access to the lectures and some other exclusive content as well. So that's it. Thank you very much for joining me on the live stream today. And I will catch you same time on Monday at 4:30 p.m. as we continue with our discussion. Have a great weekend. Stay safe, discipline yourself, and work hard. Bye-bye.